Just yesterday, I checked the German rankings of the marathon for 2025, and I was kind of surprised that I'm in 12th place from all of Germany.
Are you running a marathon? Oh my god, I could never run a marathon. You sure about that? My god, a marathon? That's like 42 kilometers, 26 miles. I don't understand those people.
That used to be me, but not anymore. Welcome to the Marathon Podcast. My name is Christian Warwick, aka Warwick Runs on different platforms. Really happy to have you here. If you haven't already, please follow this podcast. Give the podcast a review. A lot of listeners, not that many reviews, so we'd really appreciate that. In today's episode, I'm having Jakob Lange on. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, Jakob. I only asked you about the first name. But anyways, he is a very unique athlete because Jakob is not just a runner. He did a 2:17 this weekend, but he is a winter sport athlete. You're going to hear more from Jakob about what kind of sport he's doing and how he is combining these two sports. But I'm super impressed with him. We've been chatting for a long time. I've been wanting to have him on for so long and really happy that we finally have him here. He touches on his career, his build up to this marathon, but we also kind of talked a little bit about what if he decides to go full time as a runner. And at least to me, this is a very interesting conversation, and it again kind of confirms some of those things that I've been talking to other runners about and that I've talked about myself in terms of combining, say, cycling and running and strength training and running. So very inspiring. Thank you to Jakob for guesting the podcast. Before we jump into the conversation with Jakob, I just want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I want to give you a recommendation for another podcast. I'm sure that if you're listening to this, you are aware of it. But Jeff Cunningham has a podcast called Consistently Good, the Consistently Good podcast, which is amazing. And I was listening to this episode this morning about speed work, which is a good one. I feel like what Jeff is really good at is taking science-based facts and kind of communicating or talking about that in more of a casual way for more people to understand. So really recommend heading over to that podcast, listen to that. And like I said, that last episode about speed work, I found to be very useful. Another thing that I want to talk about is that this morning when I woke up, and tomorrow morning, so the day of this podcast coming out, there's going to be more information about this or the general ballot for the Sydney Marathon. So I was under the impression that I was good to go for Sydney. I almost bought my plane tickets to Sydney for the 2026 edition because I thought that on the high performance program, I was secured a spot. The time qualifier for me, or the qualifying time standards for me, I think was 2:53. I've done a 2:47 marathon. I was like, I'm in. This is good. I'm secured a spot. That was not really the case. Unfortunately, I got my rejection email this morning. I'm automatically transferred to the general ballot. So I'm in the general draw right now. We'll see tomorrow if I actually get a spot. But I had to reach out to James Constantine, who is the social media digital manager. I think that's what his title is. Anyways, he is a part of the committee doing the administration of the Sydney Marathon. So he has a lot of inside information. I had to ask him about a couple of things. First of all, like, did they have a cutoff time that was already announced, or would they announce the cutoff time? They might do that later on, but I did not really understand how I was not a part of that. I was looking at a lot of comments. People were confused, and James cleared up this for me, told me what was going on. So first of all, for each age group, and this was probably communicated by the Sydney Marathon, I hadn't seen it, but for each age group, they had just a limited amount of spots. So that kind of makes them a little bit like that. The high performance program is kind of like Boston, where they had a time qualifier where you were eligible to apply. but you might not get a spot. So in this case, they had thousands and thousands of people applying. Last year, they had just a couple of hundred people applying for the high performance program, which means that they kind of underestimated how many sub-elite, semi-elite people would actually apply for this. So that meant that for each group, they had some spots, and then they didn't have a cutoff time like Boston, where it was general, I think. It was more like, this is the time for this age group. We have a certain amount of spots. You are good to go if you ran this, and that. I know that it sounded like people of my age group, which is up to 34 years old, actually people who ran like 240 did not get in on that. So that was just to clarify that the high performance program is still kind of under construction in a way for the Sydney Marathon. I think that they were really happy to see that so many people applied for it, and so many more people than last year. But that also made it harder for them to make it predictable. So I thought that 253 or lower would actually secure a spot. That's not the case. We still have to wait for the general lottery ballot. I'm very excited to see if I get a spot. I really hope I do, so I can go to Sydney next year. If not, I'll just have to apply again next year. And so that is the latest information on the high performance program of the Sydney Marathon. We'll get back to the general lottery in the next episode, because then I'll know if I'm in. But on that one, it's obviously like any other lottery where you just have to see if you're lucky. So fingers crossed. The third thing I want to talk about, and this is not going to be a long one, that is just where I'm at right now. Jakob was asking me after the call how I'm doing. I'm not doing that well in terms of my running. I am on antibiotics right now. It's not great. I'm not super happy about where I'm at. I feel like there's progress, but there are a lot of I'm very like congested, or whatever you say. Like I'm clogged. My head is heavy. I feel a bit tired when I wake up still, hoping that this will go away soon. But we're on the sixth week of me being sick, and not great. So obviously Valencia is not going to be a race for me. Hopefully I'll still be able to go and do it as a long run. I was talking to John about this the other day, but we'll see, and time will show. So that was just a quick update on my running. And I've been talking for 7 minutes, and we are ready for the conversation with Jakob. So lean back, go for a run, enjoy whatever you're doing, and have fun with this conversation that I have with Jakob. Jakob, welcome to the Marathon Podcast. I've been wanting to have you on for a very long time, and this weekend you proved why. Before you introduce yourself, will you tell me what you did this weekend?
Hi, Christian. Nice to be on your pod. 2 days ago on Sunday, I ran the Frankfurt Marathon, and I managed to get the 2 minutes, a little bit over 2 minute PB, and I ran 2:17:42.
That's really fast. And I guess, usually I have a little bit of an we talk about different things before you introduce yourself, but I feel like in your case, it's really important to kind of land who you are, what you're doing normally when you're not running, because running is not your main sport. Why don't you introduce yourself?
No, that's correct. Running is not my A sport. I'm a professional winter sports athlete from Germany. I do compete in Nordic Combined, which is one of the oldest winter sports in the Olympic program. It is ski jumping and cross-country skiing. For those who don't know that,
Quite the combination.
I guess you do, because you're from Norway. There it is very popular. It's an old winter sport, which is very popular in Scandinavia and Middle Europe, like Germany. And I'm 30 years old. I live close to Munich, and also close to the Austrian border and the Austrian Alps. So this is why I got into skiing, and this is my job, and running is just a side hobby.
Yeah, and like you said, I obviously am familiar with that sport, and I grew up like next to a ski jumping arena in Trondheim. I think you've probably been there, right? And I I know that that is a sport where you have to be pretty explosive to do the ski jumping, and you obviously have to have the endurance to be to do the cross country skiing. And I assume that some people are more explosive, like better at the ski jumping. Some people are better at the endurance, but still, that is a pretty kind of complicated sport to train for. So, how do you approach a sport like that?
Yes, that's right. It's very different types of athletes. So you have this very lean, lightweight ski jumping types. So they are very explosive and good on the jumping hill. But on the other hand, you have these more muscular endurance guys, which are better in the cross country tracks. And so you have to find a good balance. And yeah, for me, it's more the skiing. I'm better in the skiing. I've always been very good on the skiing part. One of the fastest Nordic Combined skiers in the world the last 10, 15 years. And I struggle more on the hill, but there are people also the other way around. So they jump very far and start in front of me, example. And then I have to try and catch them.
Yeah, and you did mention, your level with the cross country skiing, and I was looking at some of your results as a Nordic Combined athlete. I saw that Norway is kind of a good country for you. You've done some pretty good World Cups here.
Yeah, I managed to get top 10 in the World Cup in Oslo a couple of times. And yeah, also in Trondheim, where you live, I had some good results in the past. So I always enjoy coming to Norway, also to Lillehammer. Yeah, always nice trips there and good results for me in the past.
And how long have you been doing this for? Like, is this the kind of sport for you that you started with as a very young athlete, or did you start with cross country skiing and then you kind of switched to that, or what was your approach?
Yeah, as I grew up to the mountains here in the Alps, I started alpine skiing in the age of 2, so very young. And where I live, there's also a ski jumping hill, so next to the alpine tracks. And I was always a little bit smaller kid and not so good for alpine skiing. So I tried ski jumping in the age of I guess it was 7, 8 on the very small hills. And then I got into this ski jumping. And also, when you start ski jumping in a young age, you always do a cross country trip to just learn all the basics on skis. And yeah, I discovered that I'm pretty good in endurance. And in the age of 12, I guess it was, I won the first national title. And then I got to a ski school, like a boarding school, where I grew up and competed internationally from the age of 15. And the age of 18, I got junior world champion, junior world championship medalist a couple of times. And also did my first pro contract with Red Bull in the age of 18. And from there on, so it's now 12, 13 years ago, I was a pro in Nordic Combined, competed in the World Cup, Continental Cup around the world, from Asia to America, Canada, everywhere, China, Kazakhstan, and enjoyed the life as a pro athlete, or still enjoying it now. And I've been on the World Cup, I guess, about 100 times. Also a lot of times in Norway, as we said. And yeah, running always has been a part of my training. that's why I'm also running marathons now.
Yeah, because we obviously need to turn this into your running and how you got to where you're at as a 2:17 marathoner. Does it sound kind of crazy to you too? Like for me, when I talk to you and I say you're a 2:17 marathoner, in my head I'm like, oh, I'm talking to a super fast marathoner here. Is that kind of surreal to you as well?
Yes, of course. Just yesterday, I checked the German rankings of the marathon for 2025, and I was kind of surprised that I'm in 12th place from all of Germany today to date, and yeah, that's kind of surreal because I guess yeah, I do running, but I don't do this much. I guess with 80, 90K a week, most people can't understand why you run that fast.
No, but I guess this is where we need to talk a little bit just to establish where, you as a winter sport athlete, cross country skiing, we talked about it before we started recording that a lot of the cross country skiers, their VO2 max is super high. They're like using a lot of running in as a part of their training, and that is still just a part of it because I'm guessing that you do roller skiing, you do a lot of activities. I've seen that you've spent a lot of time on the bike, things that although it's 80, 90K a week of running, you do a lot of training in addition to that, right? And so
Yes.
what has your training been like if you look at the last, say, 15, maybe 20 years, because you've been doing this for so long? And why do you think that has resulted in such good running shape?
Yes, obviously it's not only running. It's a lot of cycling, long days on the bike. Also I would say in a quite high level. Obviously not Tour de France level, but I do train with some of my mates. They are professional cyclists, mountain bike cyclists, and also top 10 in the world. And I can also train with them, and sometimes also race. So yeah, overall it's just a big base you get from all the skiing in the winter, this roller skiing on the skates in the summer, and cycling and running. So I would say this all the winter sport athletes, cross country skiing, biathlon, Nordic Combined, we just have hundreds or thousands of hours per year, and this for the last more than 15 years. So the endurance side is not the problem for a 2.5 hour event. So I do a lot of 4 or 5 hour bike rides and 2 or 3 hour skiing sessions. So the main thing you have to do for a good race on the roads is just conditioning of the legs. That's what I tried in this 80, 90K a week, and the rest is just basic endurance training and maybe also some VO2 max training. But VO2 max is also not a main problem for us winter sport athletes, because it's just coming from the volume of training, all the long days and long hours of training. So we have this very solid base. You just have to do some hard long runs and also sessions on the track to get the legs moving and get the long work done. Because as we said before, you can't fake a marathon, so you have to do the work.
Yeah, and now that we're talking, it makes me think, because looking back when I was obviously, speed skaters were not really known to be good runners, because usually you have more like muscles on your legs, so they're heavy, and our running technique is usually not that good either. But we, like, at least for me, I used running especially as a part of my warm up to a lot of the things that I did. I would also do some of my repeats on, like, running instead of on the bike. And back then I didn't really have a relationship to pace. So now that I'm training, I always have my watch, so I know what my pace is. But it would have been interesting for me, kind of looking back, to have known more about it back then, because then I had a higher VO2 max than I have today. But I had no idea. So if someone asked me if I was good at running, I would be like, I honestly don't know. I use it as part of my training, but I don't know. For you, when did you kind of realize that, oh, maybe I can run a fast marathon? And how did you start doing marathons in the first place?
Yeah, that's tricky, but I guess we always also had some running tests in our winter sports summer training. So we do our after the winter there's a break, and then when we go back to training in maybe May, June, we do our first test of the season, which always was running on the treadmill. You get your lactate, VO2 max, thresholds, and all the stuff. So I've always seen that I have some kind of talent for that, also in the young age. And also it was pretty common that you do some part of testing and development, progression testing. You do 3,000 meters races or 5K time trials on the track. That was just part of some measurements of our coaches, and was very successful in these, and yeah, always had great fun. For me, it was always was something that felt natural to me, and felt like I'm moving good. And also I was better than the other guys, so this was fun to me. Yeah, and I first run a half marathon in the age of 13, I guess it was.
Wow, that's
It
young.
was around, yeah. It was around 90 minutes, I guess. I couldn't find the exact results
That's
because
good
it's
for a 13-year-old.
17 years ago.
Yeah, that's still very good.
Yes, and my first full marathon was last year. In the spring last year in Hamburg, I tried to go for sub 220 in my first try, but I had some knee problems in the lead up, and just got to halfway in 69 and something, but I had to stop there because the knee pain was too bad. And tried again last October in Frankfurt, like this year, and I managed just to dip under 220 in the first race I got to the finish in Frankfurt. Last year was perfect conditions, and I didn't really do the work which is required. I only had, I guess, 2 long runs in some kind of that race pace, but I just finished also due to very good conditions last year, and I was very happy with up to 20 in the first race. And this spring I had Berlin half in start of April it was, and it was very cold and windy there, but I managed to get 65, 50, 58. So I just dipped under 66 minutes. And after that, I tried to also go back to Hamburg end of April, but I didn't have a good day there. I tried to go for 218, and until 35K it was all fine, and then it just blew up and couldn't get up to 19 or 218, and I just felt like it was just too much. Competing in the winter sports from November till March, every weekend, 2 races on the skis, and then 2 weeks of running training, and then half marathon in sub 66, and then another week, 2 weeks later, going to Hamburg and tried to go for 218. Was a little bit too optimistic, and I felt horrible the last 7Ks. Just chopped it in 340 pace, and felt like an idiot.
And then you were supposed to do Berlin this year, right? And I
Yes.
remember texting you and saying good luck, and then you said bad news. I got a cold. I don't know if that started happening like just a couple of days before. So you were all ready and tapered, and you had to change your plans.
Yeah, after Hamburg, I said to myself, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be a professional athlete that can train as much as I can now and just do the training. And I had a dream to go to Berlin. Also got the possibility to start in the elite field. So it was a big dream for me to go there. But the last days leading up to Berlin, I felt like really bad on the taper runs and easy days the days before. So I had to call it off just one day before. So I wanted to fly to Berlin in the morning on Saturday for the Sunday race, and then just texted Philip with the elite coordinator there. Just, Philip, I'm sick, I can't come. Which was a big shame because I really wanted to go for 216 maybe with the lead female pack and 217, and I really did some crazy sessions before, some hard training and a lot of heat training, and also did less ski jumping training and just to fulfill my dream there. But it wasn't to be, and after that only had 2 weeks, almost no running, and concentrated more on the ski jumping because we also had nationals 2 weeks ago, which is quite important for a qualification for the winter, and also overall it's just important in Germany. So I did this nationals, which went surprisingly well off a marathon block. So I was happy there, and also my coaches were quite surprised. And after that, I was like, I did so much running training. This can't be for nothing. So I signed up for Frankfurt, and maybe I didn't have the best preparation now, but I just wanted to go for it. Maybe be a bit more conservative, especially in the first half, and go maybe with the lead female pack there. They always have some 217 to the 18 girls. Last year it was Harvey Facer. I guess you know the name. She just won Chicago, and so I was quite certain that they will have a good women's pack, and just wanted to go there, stay with them, and maybe I can go to sub 219 to 18 something, and managed to do that now even better. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about that marathon and hear about, because I know that the weather wasn't necessarily on your side, at least parts of it. And but before we do, because I think that a lot of people listening to this, you're saying that you did, the first marathon that you finished, you did in sub 220, and you are combining it with Nordic Combined skiing. It's you are a full-time athlete, and you are still trying to perform, because I think it's also important to establish that, just like you said, you just had your nationals, you are pretty close to the season of your main sport. Yes. So I'm curious to hear about, in terms of tapering, for instance, because if it was me, like when I was a speed skater, I would definitely not start tapering in terms of my overall shape at this time of year. And I assume that you also have maybe competitions or races that you are prioritizing more as a Nordic Combined skier rather than the marathon, or how is that? Did you actually prioritize the marathon over that this fall, or did you not taper fully for Berlin and Frankfurt?
No, I did not taper fully because yeah, it's not my job to run these races. It's my job to go to the World Cups and Continental Cups and nationals in the winter and also in the fall. So this is still the main priority. That's what I'm getting paid for. So all this running was just complementary. So I feel like for me it goes hand in hand. So it's just very good endurance training, and we also all of us we do a lot of endurance training. And for me, it's not that different if I do it on the bike or on the roller skis or running. So this work has to be done anyway, and also for me, I like to work towards a goal, and so for me, it's a more a step goal to run the Berlin, for example, and then I rest a couple of days, and also now I'm resting, and next week I'm going back on the ski jumping hill. In a couple of weeks we are going on snow. So it's for me it's very hand in hand all this training, and I'm experienced enough nowadays that I can combine all this stuff. And yeah, I don't feel I have to prioritize one over another. So yeah, of course I have to switch the training now, but until now it's all fine. Also, as I saw in the results of the nationals, it did not do many harm to my overall shape, and I guess everyone, also the coaches, understand now. Maybe not the last year or the years before, but now they understand that it's not bad to do some things different. And also some of my teammates, they do a lot of cycling. Some do half professional cycling races, or some do tennis, and so we do. Everyone does things a little bit different, and so you have to find your balance. That's something I learned in professional sports. So if you have a training plan that always does not fit for everyone, so you have to find your way. And mine is just to have one or two other goals, and yeah, something to work towards. And also you get a lot of I feel when I do a race like this, it gives me back a lot and confidence and feeling from my body. And this is what I will take into this winter sports season. And yeah, I will try to get this feeling into the next weeks, and also get my best on the hill again and on the cross country tracks, which of course will be way different. It's just a completely different race on skis. It's way shorter, way more explosive, lactic, and so it's different. But running training is just a good base training, and I feel like this also helped me a lot in the last, let's say, 2.5 years.
And you did mention that your coaches were pretty happy with your results like a couple of weeks ago. And I assume that when we texted yesterday, you said that you were struggling to move right now, which is pretty normal after a marathon. And you're now heading into what is an Olympic season as a winter sport athlete. Do you feel like it's risky in terms of injuries to do a marathon that close to the season, or do you feel very confident because of all your training, like you said, the base that you have, that is not something that feels like a risk?
Yeah, of course it's risky, but ski jumping, as you can imagine, is also very risky. And all the training we do is very, I would say, it's risky. You jump from a big hill. I crashed before. I crashed hard. I destroyed my knee. I got sick, so I had a lot of injuries in the past, and every time you go out, it's a big risk, but you have to balance it, and that's in everyday training also. And we do a lot of weightlifting. You will know it from your past
Yep.
sport. So also some very crazy stuff in the gym, and that's overall it's some parts are more risky than others. I would say cross-country skiing is not that risky, but ski jumping is very risky. Cycling is also not an easy sport. You can injure yourself very badly, and so it is with the running. And this year I felt I did find my sweet spot of this 80, 90, sometimes 100K a week of running, plus the ski jump training and the strength training. I found like this is what I can handle. And of course, when I go to 100-mile weeks or this crazy stuff what the elite runners do, I would be injured in 2 or 3 weeks for sure. So that's why I don't do this, and I tried just to do it the way that is, just okay, in a balance that I can do all the different kind of training I need to do, and I guess it worked out pretty well.
Very
Just
well.
try to do the yes, I just tried to do the important session in quotes. For me, this was the long run, which I did almost every week, and 1 or 2 quality sessions, and the rest was just going around in easy running and also easy skiing and cycling. So I was very careful with that because you said it, it's an Olympic season. You don't want to get injured. Of course, it's very hard to get in the team. In Germany, getting into a world championship or Olympic team in my sport is like achieving that in Norway, the cross-country team. So it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So when you're top 5 in Germany in Nordic Combined, you're top 8 in the world. So there's only some Norwegian, Austrian, and that's it, that are on the level. So the first thing is just to qualify for the international competitions, which I managed in the nationals now, which was very important. And then, it's important the next weeks to move good on the snow, also on the hill, and then trying to get peak shape maybe in January to have a shot some of the qualification races, and maybe I get lucky.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this year will bring for you. There's no doubt that you're in great shape, that's for sure. And I want to talk a bit more about your training. First of all, since I was from Trondheim, where there were a lot of the Norwegian ski jumpers, they have their base there. And I remember when it comes to ski jumping, what's very fascinating, and I think that's the same for you guys, is that you guys are pretty, like you said, skinny, thin. You need to be to be able to perform on with both sports. But still, when we were sharing the weightlifting rack with the ski jumpers, we were there with pretty big thighs and big legs. They were super skinny, but they lifted more than us because they're so explosive, so strong. And I assume that's kind of the same for you as well. So for the runners listening to this, because there are mostly runners listening to this podcast, I think that it could be very interesting to hear how you are actually training, because most people can only dream of doing a 2:17 marathon, and then you have the strength training that you need to do, and you have the other types of training that you mentioned. So first of all, how many hours do you usually train a week?
In total hours, all combined with the ski jumping and weightlifting, should be around 20 hours, maybe sometimes more. But as you can imagine, some ski jumping training is you jump down the hill, it's 5 seconds, and then you have to go up again. This takes a long time, so 3 hours ski jumping session is 5 jumps. So that's also very time consuming. So when we are doing a week with a lot of that, it's maybe up to 30 hours also. But the main training in endurance is like 15, 20 hours maybe when there's a lot of cycling. As I said, there's up to 100K running, couple of hours on the roller skis, and mainly it's 2 sessions of strength training in the gym a week. So this is a lot of deadlifting, back squats, single leg squats, hops, plyos, jumping over hurdles, jumping with additional weights on the shoulders. So this is where the explosive stuff comes from. So
And that's
as you
usually
said,
pretty heavy, right? Like heavy weightlifting.
yes, yeah. So we don't do this 10 by 10 bodybuilding stuff. So it's more like 5 times 3, 4 times 4. But for me, it's close to 100 kilos back squatting. So there's still some power in the skinny legs, as you mentioned. It's also when you see the ski jumpers going over the big hurdles, it's quite impressive. So we try to do this also 2 times a week, just to keep the explosiveness for the takeoff and the ski jumping part. And also in cross country skiing, it is not like in running where you just go, oh, my pace is 3:16. I will run that for the next 2 hours and 16, 17, 18 minutes. It's more like you go up a hill, sprint up a hill for 2 minutes, all out, no matter what lactate you have, and then you hope to get to recover in the downhill and go again on the next hill. So it's very different, and this is also shown in the training. And I feel like the strength training and the plyo jumping stuff is also very important, and a lot of runners could take profit from that training as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if you agree, but I feel like now running is, or summer sports maybe are catching up more, but I feel like winter sports for years have been kind of, the easy, like low intensity training, regardless of pace, whatever. But it's just like that low intensity training is something that it has been done for so long. And then obviously in a lot of ways they call it the Norwegian method, especially with Christian and Gustav and all of that. But it's been around for a very long time, especially with cross country skiers. I think that they did a lot of that. And then you could argue that, especially in the 90s, maybe they went a little bit too hard on some of the VO2 max trainings, but still you have some of the cross-country skiing legends who did really well on those VO2 max tests too. So it was not in vain. I would say like they definitely got, they profited from that too. But for you in your training, how much would you say that is low intensity?
Yeah, as you said, a lot of the innovation training in winter sports comes from Norway. So this is also for me where I take my advice, or where I look to when I want to try training methods. And easy training is at least 80, 85, 90%, I would say. And when I go hard, it's usually pretty hard. So I did a lot of 200s, 400s on the track in my build up to Berlin or Frankfurt as well, just to keep the legs moving and get the speed gap. And the long run is obviously it's a little bit faster. This is not, I don't do the long run in the very easy running. It's more like threshold, sub-threshold, steady running. But the rest is normally pretty easy. So for me, it's like 4:10, 4:15, maybe 4:20 pace running, and on the bike and roller skiing, I go to heart rate, which is I try to go around 125, 130, not higher than 140 in any training. Also in running, I try to stay sub 140, which can be difficult in the heat. But normally 4:15 is the easy running pace. And when I do a long run, not specific for race pace, it was steady 3:40, 3:35. I did up to 40K in the lead up to Berlin. Couple of 35, 38, 40K runs in 3:35, 3:40 pace. Just steady, concentrating on a good running form, also in race shoes, race nutrition, trying to optimize also that. And the rest is just easy jogging and easy training. Maybe something like 5 by 8 minutes was also part of this threshold training you mentioned from the Norwegian method, but only once, no double days.
And normally for you, if you look at like spring, summer, fall training, because obviously when the winter comes, it's going to be a bit different with all the traveling and the competitions. But how many workouts do you have a week? So we established that it's 80 to 90% easy training, but how many workouts do you have a week? And then I'm talking about higher intensity.
In the normal training for winter sports now, the next weeks going forward will only be one hard session a week, because the overall volume will very much get smaller now, because we do a lot of training on the hill. So we just try to do one hard session a week, which will be not running the next couple of weeks. We will be roller skiing and then on snow. And that's also in the part where we have our competitions in the winter. I just try to do one hard session, mostly on Wednesday, just to get ready for the next weekend competitions. And in the summer, normally it's 2, sometimes 3 hard sessions a week. Also, it's also just the last couple of weeks, I try to do Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday or Saturday, the long run.
This is very interesting. I hope that a lot of people listen to this and use this, because I think that it's so easy today to be influenced by, or maybe not influenced, but you see runners, and especially on social media these days, we're talking so much about the mileage that you have as a runner. And I remember when I grew up, it was almost like you should not bike if you're a runner because that's going to make you slower. You heard things like that. And now looking back, I see that foundation that was built, or that base that I got from all the cycling and from all the training in general, although it was not necessarily running specific, that probably helped me. That is the reason why I was able to go from 2 years off to just running for 4 months and then still do a sub-3 marathon. Nothing compared to what you're doing, but it's still like, most people will have to train for a long time to do a sub-3 marathon or run for a long time, whilst for me it was more like the muscle memory that I got from all those years of doing a lot of things. And my plan now is to integrate more of that cycling into my training, and hopefully also with the strength training to kind of do more of that heavy lifting. I feel like maybe one of the mistakes that I've made is that I thought that I don't need to do hard strength training. Like I don't have to lift heavy. And I don't know what your take is on this. I know that you're doing heavy weightlifting, but I've been doing a lot of prehab, I would say, but maybe not as much strength building workouts. So what is your take on strength training for runners now that you are such a good runner yourself and you are doing that a lot?
Yeah, I feel like people underestimate the impact that this can have on your muscles, on your injury prevention, but also on your running form and running economy. I guess there's more and more studies coming out to this topic the last couple of weeks, months, and they all show that you very much profit of hard resistance training. And I would say this helped me a lot because I've been doing this for my entire life as an athlete. So I would always recommend trying to lift hard. Of course, you have to earn the right to lift heavy weights. This is also not an easy thing to do, and there's some injury risk with that as well. But if you have somebody who can spot you in your lifting and tell you how to do it properly, you can very much take advantage of that. And as you said, overall, people say the other training, the biking and skiing in my case, you do. I would say that the body or the heart and the lungs, they don't know where the fitness is coming from. So more fitness is always better, and more hours of easy training is better than not doing them. And also, I think you can get away with a lot of cross training and then doing the specific training for your races. And then, overall, the mix, of course, needs to be tailored to your event. But if you just can't run more than 100K a week because you always get injured and or maybe you don't have the motivation, or I don't know what. This could be a very, very good tool to increase the overall, let's say mileage or time in zone, or I don't know what, and you can profit from that. I'm pretty sure.
So say that if you decided today that you were gonna quit winter sports and you're gonna do 1 year of just marathon training and have a goal, say Chicago Marathon 2026, would you have made any changes to your training? Like, how would that have looked like compared to your training today?
Difficult question, but I would say I would use the free time that I'm not on the ski jumping hill for half more cross training and half maybe a little bit more running. Or take it to thirds, and 1/3 more cross training, 1/3 more running, and 1/3 more recovery, which also I guess a lot of people underestimate how important recovery is.
Yeah.
And all the other stuff like physiotherapy. I do a lot of also sauna, heat training, and all the stuff is very important in my opinion. And when you have more time, I would spend it, at least a portion of it, also on more cross training. And of course, you have to be cautious with that as well. If you go out for 6-7 hours bike rides, low cadence, and don't fuel that, you won't
Not a good
get a
idea.
better runner from that. So you have to know what you're doing, but in overall, cross training would help a lot of people, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And you did touch on something that I find very interesting. Now you said that you're using sauna as a part of your recovery, or maybe, I don't know if you even see it as a part of kind of a training, just going to the sauna and sitting there. And now for the last few weeks, a friend of mine, he told me, since I've been dealing with this COVID thing, I don't even know what it is at this point, but I've been trying to go to the sauna quite frequently, just to try to get things out of my system. And at least that's an activity that my body can do without feeling really bad. What effects have you seen of the sauna, and what is it that you feel like is the biggest benefit of using that?
Luckily I have a sauna in my home here, and that's why I try to bring it into my training as well. And also with the races nowadays, you can't be certain that Berlin is going to be cold, or all the races also in Frankfurt, you can have from snow to 25 degrees, you can have everything. So that's why heat training is getting very popular, I guess. And that's why I also try to bring it into my training. So I used some active heat training, overdressed running, overdressed cycling, indoor cycling in a heat chamber or in a heated room for my training. But also, as you said, sauna. It's been shown in studies that this has some positive effects on hemoglobin mass, sweat rates, and yeah, I didn't want to let this benefit go. So I jumped on this hype train for heat training and just tried to get in the sauna after right after training, the whole summer. So when I got for running, I don't know, 90 minutes, overdressed running. So you try to get the temperature, body temperature up already in the running, then straight to sauna or sometimes hot bath for 2 times 20 minutes in the sauna or 25, 30 minutes in the hot tub. So just to keep the body temperature up and hope for the benefits everyone is telling about.
Yeah, it's super interesting to see those. I also seen some of the science on this, and I remember it was one of my physiotherapists who first told me about it. She's like, "Have you seen this study?" And I was like, "No." And she said, "You should really try this because they've seen the effects of it." And I know several people here in Norway too who've tried it and really benefited from it. And obviously you'll benefit from it, like you said, with Berlin. If that is going to be as hot going forward as it was this year, then it's going to be easier for you. But I feel like even as like yourself, a winter sport athlete who are you want to perform in the winter, it's not like it's going to be hot in the winter like that, but you'll probably still benefit from that because of the chemical reactions that your body, or happens to what happens to your body when you are doing heat training. So definitely super interesting.
Yeah, it's I'm very much into the science part of running as well. As you mentioned, there's a lot of studies, and I'm kind of nerdy in this part also on the shoe stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that
But
because you and I had a little bit of we were chatting about the shoes before. I think that was before Berlin. Both of us, we were trying out the Puma Fast R3. I don't think you ended up using those for your marathon, right? I was experiencing that they were super fast, but I did not feel like my legs really liked them. I felt like I got more pain, not as stable as I wanted. What was your experience?
yeah, it's difficult. As I was always a Nike fan, Nike guy. So the last years until the spring, I always had the Alphafly 3, and didn't imagine there would be something better or faster than this. And yeah, but over the summer there was a lot of studies showing the Puma Faster 3 Nitro Elite or something like that, shown to be I guess 3% better than the Nike ones. I guess that's why you tried them as well.
And they felt super fast, honestly. Like there was nothing.
Yes.
I do believe the study, but I'm not sure if it. I wouldn't sacrifice my legs for it, you know.
Yeah, I also think they are pretty fast, and I tried them also in some long sessions leading up to Berlin. But I felt like they are a little bit unstable underfoot, and I wasn't too sure if I can handle them for the whole distance. So, and also I heard on several podcasts and stuff that talking about people getting injured of them using them too much, and so I was a little bit unsure about that. And then I tried the new ASICS ones, the Metaspeed Edge. So that they have two different ones, the Sky and the Edge. And as I'm more a cadence runner, I tried the new Edge, which are crazy shoes, so light. They're like 150 grams in my size,
Crazy.
which is crazy. It's even 20 grams less than the Puma ones. And really much like them also in the long sessions. So I felt like they were very stable underfoot, feeling close to an Alpha Fly, but way lighter and even more responsive. Not as poppy as the Puma ones, but yeah, I felt like I can go the whole distance with them and not have any problems. And yeah, I'm pretty happy I use them in my race now.
Yeah, it's really interesting with that shoe discussion. I think that, like you said, with the science and the hype and social media, you see things and it's hard not to be tempted. Like I have the what are they called, the Pro Evo 2 or from Adidas behind me here. I haven't tried them yet. I'm curious to try them out too. But there are so many things on the market, and I definitely think it's you use the term yourself, the hype train of some of the things. And I think that if you find a shoe that works for you, that's great. But it's hard to see other people running fast, and you hear about things and you're like, oh, what if I could run this much faster if I had these shoes or not? But you did prove that the Edge was pretty good for you this weekend. And I want to hear more about that race, because we were texting and I think you wrote beforehand too on your Instagram, ready for the storm or something like that, because it was pretty windy, but you still managed to do your 2:17 marathon, 3:15 average, right? Was it?
Yes, it's 3:15, 3:16, and yeah, the last days before it was in my head. I was close to quitting because it was from the authorities and the government. It was like a wind warning.
Wow.
Of heavy storms, and the last days before it was like a cold weather front coming from the west. And the day I arrived in Frankfurt, I went for a jog. And it was like, no way we can go for a good race here tomorrow, because it was just blowing an absolute gale out there. And I was like, oh shit, and we have to race there tomorrow. And yeah, in the end it wasn't that bad most of the race, but at some parts it was just very, very stormy, windy, and especially in the city it was okay. So in the start you do like a 10K loop through the big towers of Frankfurt, like the high buildings, which is really cool. And then you go out on the main river, just on the canal west, for like 10K. And there it was just very much headwind. And yeah, the group I was in wasn't that big at that point. There was one female, the leading female, which won in the end. And she was meant to go for the course records for a female, and which is 2:17 low, and she had only one personal pacemaker, which meant to go 3:15. Okay, and on this part, we just slowed down, and I was in my head. I was, oh no, our predicted time was on the leading car. The projected finish time was going up to 2:19:20 at one point, when we had a 3:26K in the very stormy part of the course. But then after the turning point, you go back to the city. It was very nice, big tailwind, 25K an hour tailwind, and gusts up to 60K. which felt like flying
That's nice.
back to the city. And I was with one runner from London, Dean Williamson, who I raced in Frankfurt last year as well. And we met up in the same group again. And he was trying to go at sub 2:18 because he wanted to go get into the championship start group in London Marathon next year. So he had to go sub 2:18 to get a start right there. And we were chatting also at halfway how we have to stay in this group maybe 2, 3, 4Ks longer, and then in the tail one part we can push and can do a big negative split. And yeah, it was pretty nice to have someone to run with from 25K onwards. But at that point I was in my head, it was always already, oh no, this is not going to be our day, because this pacemaker, the pure, he just slowed down, the poor guy. And also the girl from Ethiopia, she was really hurting, I guess. And yeah, we just tried to stay as calm as possible and then push after the turn. And then from 30 to 35K, we ran like 308, 309 a K, every K. And then the last 4 or 5 Ks are again in the city. It's like a small loop before you go to the finish, which is in a big stadium, which is very nice. So I can really recommend running in Frankfurt. And back in the city, there was small loop, and we turned into some headwind parts again. It was just like running against the wall. And but we tried to stay together and work until the finish. And both very happy and satisfied with the result in this conditions. I don't want to say it cost us like 2 minutes. That's stupid stuff, but it wasn't very good.
It was not optimal.
That's for sure. That's for sure. That's for sure.
I feel like this might be kind of a lesson in, or a great example of smart running and also like mental strength. Because what strikes me when you're talking about this is that it's easy to get caught up in the, I need to stay at this pace because that was my race plan. And it's also easy to feel like when you have that headwind to be like, I'm giving up. This is too hard. It's not going to work. And how, like, if you were to take us through your thought process when you felt this heavy headwind and you know, like your race plan or the pace that you were targeting, you probably had to, run slower for a while and then you run faster at the end. What were you thinking when that started happening?
Yeah, luckily I felt really good at this point. So the legs it was very easy until then. So I was sure I can, run faster the second half. So it was in my mind, you can go sub 69 the second half, especially in a tailwind. So I was not panicking, and also it helped a lot to talk to Dean. He was like, just stay calm, and we talked a lot in this part. And at some point you have to make a decision, and it was just no chance to go earlier than that, because we would have killed ourselves in this headwind part. And I know a lot of guys who did that really didn't get a great result in the end. So we knew what we have to do in the way back, and just stayed calm. I tried to stay as calm as possible for it's only 2 more Ks, then we can go, and then we can go hard and you feel good, and easy until 30K. It should just be jogging. In a full marathon, it must be easy until 30K at least, and then you can go. And also when we did the turn and we got faster, um, Dean was pushing very hard, and I was like, chill, bro. It's still 12K. And in the end, he was just hanging on me in the last 2Ks. And in the finish, he said, "Oh, yeah, I'm glad you told me to not push that hard, that early, because it's just getting very long, the last 10K. You know that feeling when you feel fresh at 30 or 32, and then it's still 10K. And
Smart move.
yeah, yeah. So always hold back a bit when you feel flat at 25. It's not gonna work out good for you.
I'm sure a lot of the listeners now, they're wondering, those conditions, 217 is pretty fast. How did you place overall?
It was around 17,000 finishers, and I was 17th.
Wow.
And it was, I guess, I was third or fourth European. And of course, there's always a lot of good African runners, but I guess most of the guys in front of me were from Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, and we also did catch some of them in the end, which went out in 63 and blew up big time. So it was quite satisfying the last 3-4Ks where we picked up some of them as well. And yeah, very good result overall. Last year was 24th or something. Yeah.
And the winner,
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, you should be. And the winner's time was 2:06, was it?
Yes, 2 or 6 high, I believe. Yeah.
If I found myself where you are right now, I obviously I would be excited about the Olympic season, but I would also be like, how fast can I actually run if I did this full time? Does that thought kind of strike you now that you're a 217 marathon? Are you tempted to, whenever you decide to stop Nordic Combined skiing, to just, I'm gonna run full time?
Yeah, very hard question. Of course, I want to do my best in the winter coming up, but I'm also pretty sure that this will be my last year in winter sports. Just yeah, I'm older than 30 now, and that's normally an age you end your career in our sport, especially when you get into it as early as I did. And of course, I had some thoughts about preparing a real preparation for maybe a fall or Berlin next year. Yeah, but I'm not sure I can handle this pro running training now. So I would need to change a lot of things until next September, October. Maybe I will do that. I'm not sure now. Maybe we need to talk about that after the winter season.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that you do if you decide to quit. But I also after our chat here and hearing how you're training, what your training looks like, my thoughts are, well, you don't really need to change that much. You maybe, like you said before, run a little bit more, but then spend more time recovering. Obviously, no more ski jumping, but then doing a lot of the same things and be able to just get more quality running in, however that would look like. I think that, and this is obviously just my opinion, but I'm not sure if everyone needs to have that typical running approach to it. The runners who are doing this full time as runners, not doing any cross training or any of the strength training. I'm not sure if that is what is needed. I think that there are also, at least what I'm left with after this conversation is, how fast could you have run if you got a proper taper in? You know, like if you were able to do that, you would probably shave off some more just on that. And then if it was not as windy, you would shave off some time. And I understand that, like, from 217 to 210, that's a big gap, but it's still, in my head, I'm like, well, why wouldn't he run 210 if he just did everything in his power to run faster and do it in your way? And I don't know what your thoughts are when I'm saying this, but I'm not sure if I think that you would need to change that much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that also with my fitness now, just with a little bit more running, that I can get to maybe to 15, 14, and yeah. But from there on, I don't know how the progression will be.
Oh.
But yeah, maybe there will be a point in the next weeks, months, or the next year, where I find the motivation and also the drive to pursue this new goal. And yeah, I won't say no to that now, but we will have to see how the things are after the winter, and I will have to talk to my wife what she
Yeah.
thinks about this, and yeah, how the plans are for the next years. And also, yeah, running to 12, 13, 14 is nice, but you can't do a living from that. So I don't know how this works with a job then, and yeah, I guess that's the problems most of the runners and listeners have, combining their work, family, with the running. So yeah, I feel very privileged that I can do the athlete life now and also the next weeks and months. And yeah, I can't imagine how the effect will be if you don't have this anymore. Maybe the progression stops when you have to work. So yeah, so it's not so easy to say next year I will be pro runner and I go to 11 or something like this. So that's a nice goal or a nice dream, but I guess we also have to be realistic, and yeah, you can't do everything as how you want it. But of course, these thoughts are also, as you said, is in my mind, and I would really much love to do one very good preparation and just go for it, maybe in Berlin or Valencia, and just see where you end up. And maybe I can do this some point, and let's see how it will be.
I hope that you'll give it a shot. And yeah, no, I believe in you, and I'm just so impressed with what you're doing. And last question on your training, because you mentioned pace here, and obviously as Europeans we're talking kilometers. When you did your long runs, you said that they were at like 3:30, 3:35, so they're a bit harder than low intensity, but still your race pace is then 3:15, like this weekend. So how does it feel on those long runs? Because I think that to a lot of listeners, they're like, oh, he's running them fast, but based on your race pace, you're still pretty far away from what you did in the race.
Yeah, I did two different kinds of long runs. So longer before or further out of the race, it was these steady long runs, as it just told. It was like 20 seconds of rest pace, which is 335, 340. And this was just 35K, 40K in one pace, maybe a little bit faster at the end. And this was around LT1, you say, like when the territorial threshold one. So where you burn a lot of fat and also a lot of carbs, but it's not big in lactates, and you get too tired of it. This was just to condition the legs and have some good aerobic stimulus. Because also for me, it's still more than 2 hours, 2 hours 20 almost of running. So you just have to be economical. And this is what I did 10, 8, 7 weeks before. So I had 3 weeks in a row, 35, 35, 40. And then I started with some more specific long runs. I started with 3 times 6K, 5 times 4K, 5 times 5K in race pace of 1K float. So 5K in 317, 1K float 340, and so on. So closer to the race, I try to be more specific and target race pace. Of course, when it was hot, you back a little bit, but closer to the race, I tried to go more at race pace or just off race pace, and all of that in race shoes, a race kit on a flat cycling path in as good a weather as you get, with my wife on the bike, handing bottles and trying to also hit the carb intake and get used to the gels and the drink mix, and just trying to do as much race specific stuff as possible. And I also did no lead up races this time, so that's where I tried to lower the risk we talked about, the risk of injury, risk of over racing, overtraining, for the race itself, but also for the winter sports season, as we talked about. Just do the training, get home, eat, drink, get into the sauna, and so just trying to do the things good and not do crazy stuff. Here, race there, 10K half in the lead up, and just try to do the work and the long runs. And I feel like this is just the most important stuff, and I imagine that's also for your everyday runners and also the more or the faster runners and listeners. If you can do a good long run in your on the weekend, mostly for most people, that's a very big part of your running success, I guess.
Yeah, because that was gonna be my very last question here. If you were to give an advice to other runners, regardless of their levels, what would you kind of recommend doing if they want to get better at the marathon?
I would say try to go to the gym maybe once or twice a week. Try to start maybe with lower weights and try to work your way up. Do something for your calves, your squats, your quads. Do some squats for overall leg power. Then do some cross training, elliptical, biking, skiing, whatever you want, swimming maybe. And for the hard sessions, maybe concentrate on not that much stuff. Don't do double threshold and all that stuff just because it's on the internet. I guess for most runners, it's enough when you go hard once a week. But when you go hard, go really hard. Try to improve your speed gap for that your race pace feels easier on the day, and try to do a good long run. You don't need to go very hard in your long run. Maybe you go 1 week you go very easy, just time on feet. The other week you go a little bit more steady, a little bit faster. Try to work on this aerobic pace and a little bit more closer to race pace, which also helps your legs conditioning. And as you get closer to the race, try to do some race specific stuff also in your long runs. And I feel like when you do this stuff for a couple of weeks, months, with no injuries and yeah, maybe some sauna and hot tub as well. Trying to get some good recovery, get your recovery meals and good sleep, and you're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you. And Jakob, thank you so much for guesting the Marathon Podcast. Like I told you, I've been wanting to have you on for a long time, and I also appreciate your support. You were one of the first ones that reached out and kind of supported the podcast, and that is highly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Christian. It's been a great honor to be in the pod, and yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you and yeah, the future, and see what your podcast is gonna be like in the next years.
Thank you. I hope that next time I talk to you, you've been to the Olympics and you are a full-time runner. Good luck with your winter season. It's something special about having these chats with people that I've talked to for so long. You know, Jakob and I, we've been chatting for months, and he was one of the first people reaching out to me, listening to the pod, and I really, really appreciate his support along the way. And turns out that where he is from is just like 30 minutes from where I spend every fall as a speed skater. So that's cool. We were talking about maybe, obviously meeting up if he has a competition here, but maybe going down there for a bit of a casual training camp at some point. That would be fun. I'm going to head over to the sauna right now. I've been doing that for the last weeks, and I am going to try to continue doing that, and especially now after the conversation with Jakob, that makes even more sense. So that is what I'm going to do. Later today, I have more conversations with people. And so in the next episode, we're going to talk to Cole Gibbons, who, if you haven't heard about him, is a great runner from the UK. He has already been on the podcast. He's sponsored by the Marathon Podcast, actually. Really excited to talk to him and hear about how his journey to Valencia is going. And that's going to be a great chat, I think. Really excited about that. And last little piece of information, the latest athletes to have been sponsored by the Marathon Podcast is Julia Paternine and Christian Grue. Christian Grue is the Norseman winner. Both of them have been on the pod, and I'm really excited about this sponsorship, the Marathon Podcast sponsorship. And I obviously am aware that this is a bit of a marketing stunt, but I also like to see how happy the athletes are to be sponsored and supported. And again, they don't really need to do a lot of things to be sponsored by the Marathon Podcast. All I ask them to do is to collaborate on that first announcement post, and that is about it. So thank you for listening to the Marathon Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this. Share it with a friend if you liked what you heard. And if not, or if you do, whatever you do, we'll talk in the next one. Thank you for listening. You listen to the Marathon Podcast, brought to you by Wall Studio.